This is a smaller version of a bigger piece that I've done, and I've started with just testing out the forms of the flowers I wanted in this bigger piece, and also some color combinations, what work together and what doesn't. And it's always a good idea to make a smaller scale of the bigger piece that you want to do. I hope you enjoyed this process, and without much further ado, let's get started. So I started coloring in my flowers, and the first color I was like, I am going to do this small flowers with yellow and orange. So I really wanted to see if I can combine the two colors. So I'm starting with orange in the middle, and then I'm coming from the other side with yellow. And the way I painted these ones is I first put a layer of water on the flower, and then I was trying to see if all of these two colors blend together, and actually they blended together wonderful. I noticed that with some colors, whenever you're doing wet in wet and you're first adding color and then doing things, they dry out much lighter than their original color, and it seems to happen a lot with the blues, but on this case with the oranges and yellow it doesn't happen. If you're wondering what paper I'm using Fabriano Artistico. It's an A5 block with like 20 things, and this was the piece that I did just before I wanted to color in the bigger flower composition from the other video that I posted a while ago, a very big flower composition, and this was the test I did. And in the test, what I also did, I don't know if you can see it, is I used masking fluid for the stamens of the big flowers. I wanted to see if I can use masking fluid for such a small little piece, and it actually worked out pretty well. You'll see at the end when I'm actually removing this. Now for the poppy flower, I'm using like a really bright red, and for the other one, I think the one that is really from the front, the color is called Rose Doré, and I think it's from Cotman, if I'm not mistaken. It's a really beautiful red towards orange, and it has like this beautiful tint, so it's really nice. This is like a really small composition, and it really helps me to figure out what colors I'm going to use, whether I'm going to use anything, whether everything I do makes sense. So I'm also learning how the colors are going to dry and how they're gonna look when they dry. For example, this flower that I'm going back here, this one, it dried really lighter than I was expecting. Like I was like, okay, I need to really do a second layer here because this color is not working. Whereas on the other flower, everything was dried out as I was expecting. So it's always good to test your colors and to test them in real life to see kind of how they dry out and how they're gonna look, because sometimes even though the paper is good, everything is good, the color itself might be too granulating, or it just might be a little bit weird. So I'm going back again to that flower. I'm even deepening even more because for some reason it keeps drying out much lighter than what I'm expecting. And I was expecting to have a little bit more color, but for some reason wasn't doing anything. So now I'm using some purples and some other color. If I'm not mistaken, it was Moonglow and really nice cool purple. And Moonglow is what I'm using here. This is from Daniel Smith, and it's like a grayish purple, if I could say it. When it dries out, it is actually made out of two colors, and when it dries out, it really looks like it has some tints of red in it and like some colors separate, and it's really a really beautiful and pretty color to look at. So I highly recommend it. It's a bit more granulating and a little bit more different. And in here I'm using what will turn out to be one of my favorite colors. This is Potter's Pink. And this is such a beautiful pink and such a beautiful color that I cannot even begin to describe. It's like one of my favorite colors from Tim Holtz, which is Tethered Rose. That's the color of this Potter's Pink, I have to say. And it's so nice that I found it out. I think I was watching Sandy Alnock using this one in one of her videos, and I was like, what color is this? I need to get it. I don't think I got it from Daniel Smith because I wasn't able to buy it. I think I bought the Potter's Pink from Cotman's, which is like very similar artist grade. So, you know, I was like, I'm going to buy the one that is available and the one that I can get my hands on. Here at my local art store, they don't have all the colors or all the Daniel Smith, and I don't always order online because the shipping, if I just order one color, the shipping will be more than the actual color. So I just tend to buy whatever it is on my local art store, unless I'm lucky enough and I go to Amsterdam, and Amsterdam has a much bigger art store which actually has all the colors from Schminke and from Daniel Smith, and that's where I can buy them. But now, you know, Corona times and all that, I am not very comfortable traveling, so I just have to make do with my local art store and what they have. But you know, the color is still pretty, the color is still beautiful. One tip when you're coloring petals is try to color the petals that do not touch each other, so the colors do not bleed into each other, and let them dry. This was a small enough piece, and by the time I was done with one flower, the other flowers I could start and I could color in. I was like looking also for the greens, like what greens am I going to use. By the time I was deciding what greens I'm going to use, I went in and I deepened all the colors on all the flowers, and this is like something that I learned that I had to do for my bigger piece. And it's always good, like test out your colors, test out everything, because when you're doing a bigger piece that anyway is gonna take you for like 4 hours, you don't wanna learn and you don't want to do things while you're doing that big piece, because otherwise it's going to take you even longer than that. So I learned kind of what colors I wanted. I actually didn't end up using the really dark red on my final big piece. I didn't use it because I didn't like how I was actually drying. I didn't like that it was drying so flat and it didn't have any life into it for some reason. I believe that I was using as colors like May Green from Schminke and some darker green, which I don't remember exactly the name for it, but I think all my greens that I have are actually from Schminke. So, you know, I think I bought all the greens possible and impossible. So I'm always going in there and deepening the color and making the shadows, like for example, that one leaf has a shadow underneath the petals there. So this is how I kind of draw it, or colored it in. Let's put it this way. I'm really enjoying these pieces and I think I'm going to continue making them. They make for great learning experience for me, and it's kind of a non-committal sometimes. Like, we all probably have to work, we all are busy, and we cannot make big pieces every day. I cannot even make a big art piece every week. Maybe once a month I can actually spend an entire Saturday doing a big piece, but a lot of times I only have 1 hour, literally only have 1 hour that I can actually do something. So then I prefer to do a smaller piece where I actually can learn and I actually can do things, rather than try to do a masterpiece every day. And this is something that cannot be all true. You cannot do a masterpiece every day, but what you should be doing and what everybody should be doing is actually going around and learning every day. Like, don't let any day be a waste. And I'm not saying you have to work every day or do every, like, part of the learning is also learning how to let go. Part of the learning is also learning how to take rest. So when I say every day you need to learn something, yes, every day you need to learn something. It doesn't need to be everyday art that you learn, right? It could be a new recipe, it could be anything. That I do not like to let days go by without me doing anything. And this is the only way for me to feel like I've done something. Like, even if it's a small piece and even if it's just for 1 hour, I'm going to do it. I'm going to like take out my watercolors and just do it. And nowadays, because I'm also working from home, it's become a little bit easier because I can do them in the morning before work, because I don't have to worry anymore that, you know, I have to go out of the door to catch my train to arrive at work. So I actually have this extra hour that I would have spent in public transport. I can actually spend doing something awesome and doing something that I enjoy. Now, finishing touches, I always add some finishing touches. I always like them. And I was thinking, this piece I'm going to send in to, you know, maybe my mom or my mother-in-law. I'm sure they're gonna love it, and I'll probably transform it into like a tiny card so that they can like put it on display and watch it. I do not put on display all of my paintings because they're not all worthy of display. This one isn't, not because it doesn't look awesome. I think it does look awesome, but if I were to display every piece I do every day, then I'm going to not have enough space on all my walls to display all these pieces, right? So instead of it you know, sitting somewhere in a drawer of mine and not getting any sunshine, what I usually do is just I send them around to other people that I find dear. And I was like, okay, here, there's a small little present for you. So, and this piece, I didn't do anything with the leaves. I didn't add any veins or anything. It was just a test. And I think I'm really enjoying how it turned out. It teached me a lot, and I managed to do a bigger piece all in one go with not a lot of worry. Now, if you like this type of content, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, you know, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Sometimes people forget to subscribe. So I'm hoping that you watch till the end. If you subscribe and you click that notification bell button, I believe that you can see a lot of my new things that I'm doing. I was really looking for that fancy eraser so that I can take off the parts with the masking fluid, but I just couldn't find it. I was looking for it everywhere, and turned out that my cat stole it. So in the end, I did it with my finger. It's okay if you do it with the finger. You just have to make sure when you do it with the finger that everything is super dried out, because if it's not, it's going to smear. Yeah. So I'm just using a regular eraser. It does the job, but I'm trying really hard not to touch any of those parts that didn't dry out. So this is how it looks like with the masking fluid off, and I'm adding some white gel pen. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.